Ballad of Antara is shaping up to be one of the most mysterious and atmospheric entries in the Soulslike ARPG genre. Its visuals are nothing short of breathtaking, setting a distinct tone even before you touch the controller we've seen in quite some time. While the game hasn't been released yet and no official launch date has been confirmed, we've pieced together what we know so far from a 15-minute gameplay showcase released by the developers. As with all early previews, everything here is subject to change, but there's already plenty to get excited about if you're a fan of dark fantasy, tactical combat, and deeply immersive worlds filled with secrets, symbolism, and layered storytelling that lingers long after the screen fades to black. And let's be honest, there's something truly enticing about wandering into a cursed, beautiful world that wants to kill you, but also wants to tell you a story. It's a siren song for those of us who like our games brutal, beautiful, and brimming with mystery. From what we've gathered, the game blends traditional Soulsborne mechanics, methodical combat, limited healing, enemy positioning with some fresh and compelling innovations. These include a dual-character gameplay system, elemental synergy between skills and enemies, and a richly layered world that seems to ooze narrative density from every shadowy corner. Every environment tells a silent story. Faded murals on cracked walls, collapsed statues that once stood proud, and glowing relics hidden behind poison mists all speak of a civilization long gone. In the early part of the demo, even the architecture feels like it's decaying in slow motion, swallowed by centuries of regret. One early example that stands out involves a corridor lined with statues frozen in anguish, their arms stretched forward as if warning the player of what lies ahead. A tutorial prompt urges you to follow their gaze, leading to a hidden bell that, when rung, reveals a concealed treasure. It's a subtle but powerful moment where level design and narrative intuition collide, grounding the atmosphere in gameplay. It feels like a place where the ruins tell stories, where even the broken statues and overgrown altars hold ancient memory. There's a poetic melancholy to the setting that draws you in before you've even swung your first sword, and every corridor seems to whisper of tragedies past and mysteries yet to be unearthed. You don't just explore for loot, you explore for meaning. These structures and landscapes don't just exist for gameplay, they feel haunted, lived in, and filled with intention. Even the placement of enemies appears carefully choreographed, as if everything in the game world is designed to either challenge or reveal. Statues frozen in anguish line certain halls, pointing in the direction you must go. Tutorial pop-ups even reference following their gaze to locate important objectives, subtle yet deliberate environmental design choices. There's a finesse here that's rare, a kind of narrative by design that makes every dungeon crawl feel like archaeology. The gameplay footage begins with a masked man carrying a small girl named Dromos through the remnants of a shattered and decaying structure. This quiet moment, tinged with melancholy and purposes, abruptly interrupted by the appearance of a massive serpent-like dragon, injecting a sense of threat and mystique that immediately sets the tone. We soon meet Gesar, the masked warrior and apparent primary protagonist, as the screen fades into a new chapter titled A Long Road Home. This feels like a classic setup, a guardian, a vulnerable companion, and a hostile world. But the execution suggests something deeper. Dromos isn't just cargo, her presence seems to alter the environment and drive the progression of the story. In some instances, she even rides a massive cat-like creature, underscoring how this isn't your typical escort mission. Even in this early segment, the game signals its dedication to building mood and suspense, creating a world that feels ancient and alive. The chemistry between Gesar and Dromos feels important, suggesting she may be more than a passive character and potentially holds the key to unraveling Antara's deeper mysteries. The developers seem to be crafting something intimate beneath the large-scale destructionist story of guardianship, of fate, of grief and rebirth. And with Dromos at the heart of these magical shifts in the world, such as a shrine blooming to life or long-dead structures reviving, it's clear she is deeply connected to the soul of Antara itself. One can't help but wonder, Is she guiding Gesar, or is she the one being guided by forces far older and deeper than we yet understand? Almost immediately, we're introduced to the familiar UI elements synonymous with Souls-like games: a health bar, a stamina gauge, and a unique guard meter that presumably dictates how long you can block before your defenses break. The combat starts tight and brutal, encouraging close-quarter mastery. Gesar uses fire-infused blade techniques that deliver wide, cinematic arcs powerful, but also slow enough to leave you vulnerable if mistimed. Every encounter seems like a dance of precision and patience, even in the early stages. While the gameplay doesn't reinvent the wheel, its execution is sharp, and the sense of weight behind each action gives the combat a grounded intensity. Enemies don't go down in a few swings, they make you work for it, and when you do triumph, it feels earned. Enemy encounters are cleverly spaced, and they escalate in complexity as you move through the level. At first, you face lone foes almost like practice dummies, but soon you're dealing with multi-phase enemies, each with unique tells and punishing patterns. In one moment, Gesar gets grabbed by a gourd-headed mini-boss, and the enemy literally tries to devour him through its grotesque headpiece. It's a shocking, almost funny moment, but it also drives home that Antara is a place where even humor is unsettling. The grotesque designs are a highlight, whether it's the insectoid dragons or plant-based demons. Every enemy feels like it crawled straight out of a nightmare. The diversity and imagination behind the creature design suggest a deep lore that may tie into each region's history and decay. Visual cues play a key role. A red flash warns of incoming heavy attacks. Subtle sound design tells you when a strike might land. There's no excessive HUD clutter. Instead, Ballad of Antara lets its combat speak through animation and timing. Each swing feels risky, every dodge deliberate. When you land a parry, it's not just a mechanic, it's a moment. The enemies, some with masks, some with animalistic or plant-based designs, seem purposefully nightmarish, designed not just to challenge, but to discomfort. It's a design language that screams dread, and that dread becomes your compass. Each encounter becomes more than survival, it becomes a conversation with the game's darkest intentions. Later on, we unlock another playable character, Yunji, who introduces a completely different combat rhythm. She's a ranged fighter who uses magical ice arrows and favors agility and control. In contrast to Gesar's heavy, fire-infused melee style marked by sweeping arcs and staggered potential, Yunji thrives on speed and precision, allowing for hit-and-run tactics and strategic positioning over brute strength. Her mobility and range allow players to kite enemies, picking them off strategically from afar. The gameplay reveals that switching between Gesar and Yunji during combat not only opens new tactical layers, but also allows for combo attacks when timed correctly. Elemental synergy becomes apparent in a key moment when Yunji's frost arrows devastate a mosquito unicorn hybrid enemy that had been shrugging off Gesar's fire attacks. This elemental focus shows that Ballad of Antara isn't just about brute force, it's about planning, timing, and exploiting weaknesses. This suggests that enemies will have specific elemental weaknesses that players must exploit to survive. The tag team mechanic introduces an additional strategic element that fans of tactical combat will appreciate. According to the tutorial pop-up, switching between characters when their ability gauges are full can also trigger special cooperative finishers. This adds a dynamic rhythm to fights, not only choosing when to strike or defend, but when to tag in your partner for a devastating blow. In later areas, Yunji can also be seen sniping airborne enemies that would be difficult for melee fighters to reach, giving real utility to the switching mechanic beyond just flashy combos. And let's not overlook the implied narrative potential of this duo. What do they mean to each other? How did they come together? Could their connection be forged through shared pain, or perhaps something deeper? As we explore deeper, we encounter a breathtaking shrine sequence. Dromos, once again at the center of the moment, activates an ancient altar nestled beneath a hollow tree. What follows is magical. Glowing blue flora erupt from the ground, vines wind back into shade, and light floods a previously desolate chamber. It's one of those moments that elevates the game beyond genre conventions. It's not just about progression, it's about presence. Giant jellyfish-like entities float in the air, and what was once ruins now pulses with otherworldly life. These moments feel like cinematic cutscenes, but they're happening in-engine, giving the player a seamless, immersive experience. The world of Antara is not just reactive, it's transformable, and Dromos is the key to that transformation. Through her, death becomes rebirth and ruin becomes reverence. This theme continues with the bonfire-like rest areas here represented by radiant golden plants. These locations allow players to access menus for upgrading stats, managing potions, and interacting with characters. One option, Soul Resonance, remains unexplained, but hints at deeper RPG mechanics involving memory, attributes, or even perhaps dialogue branching. These resting points don't just serve gameplay, they reinforce the game's pacing. Fight, reflect, breathe, move forward. There's even an option to prepare potions, suggesting resource management will play a key role before major boss encounters or risky dungeon dives. Rest areas could become narrative hubs as well, moments to hear Yunji's thoughts, reflect with Dromos, or glimpse visions of Antara's past lives through flickering memories. The gameplay footage closes with a massive boss fight. A towering brute crashed onto the battlefield, his entrance so explosive it feels scripted. At first, he wields a heavy cudgel, but halfway through, he discards it and fights with his bare fists. This shift in style, combined with more aggressive combos and wide-range smashes, turns the encounter into a test of endurance and adaptability. The music swells, camera angles get wider. Sparks fly as Gesar parries at the last second. It's a battle that feels both exhausting and earned. This fight clearly draws from classic Souls-like design to phases, shifting aggression patterns, environmental hazards, but it also feels faster, more modern, and cinematic. The boss's animations are deliberate, his weight felt in every stomp, and when he grabs you and slams you into the ground, you feel it. And yet, there's artistry even in the brutality. His movements feel choreographed, like a tragic dance of fury and finality. As the screen fades, we're shown a rapid montage of enemies and allies yet to be encountered. Before the credits roll on the demo, we're treated to a final glimpse into the broader world of Antara. A white-haired man with a bird on his shoulder. A mysterious woman with a shotgun-like staff. A child-sized entity that floats above ground, cloaked in light. The variety suggests that Ballad of Antara is only scratching the surface of its character roster, and that these figures may not only fight beside us, but also shape the world itself. Some of these characters appear briefly in combat. Others are seen simply walking through areas that seem untouched by corruption, raising questions about their roles in the greater lore. Could they be spirits, former heroes, manifestations of the land's will? The developers are clearly inviting speculation. As more details surface, we may uncover deeper bonds and mythologies that connect these characters across time and decay. So what do we make of all this? Ballad of Antara doesn't just mimic the Souls-like formula, it stretches it. From dual character mechanics to reactive environments and eerie visual storytelling, everything in the demo feels curated to immerse you, to provoke you, and to reward your curiosity. The fact that we can infer so much from a single 15-minute demo speaks volumes about the care and vision behind this project. If this is only a fraction of the full game, then Antara is poised to become a haunting, unforgettable journey. As anticipation builds, it's not just excitement we feel, it's awe, tempered by dread, sweetened by beauty. And we'll be there, sword ready, bow drawn, and heart open, waiting for whatever comes next.